What if I told you some RPGs waste zero time and still hit like legends? No bloated quests, no endless filler, just pure story, gameplay, and moments that stick with you. Today we're diving into 10 RPGs that are worth every second you spend on them. Some are obvious classics, others might catch you off guard, but all of them prove you don't need 100 hours of grind to have an unforgettable adventure.
Every hero has a goal, a quest.
What if every run into a dungeon wasn't just about loot, but about paying the bills back home? That's the hook of Moonlighter, an RPG where slaying monsters at night fuels your shopkeeping hustle by day. It sounds simple, but the loop is dangerously addictive. You dive into procedurally generated dungeons with tight Zelda-like combat. Roll to dodge, pick your weapon style, like big sword, spear, gloves, bow, or sword and shield, and push through 3 floors before facing a boss. But stay too long and a ghostly enforcer shows up, forcing you to move forward. Loot is everything, but it's never just grab and go. Items carry curses that can destroy or shift other loot in your pack, turning inventory management into a mini mind game mid-run. And if your bag fills up, there's the Merchant Mirror, which lets you ditch items for quick cash at a discount. Or you can pay for a portal home and return to exactly where you left off. Back in town, the real grind begins. You're not just dumping loot, you're running a full shop. You set the prices yourself, watching customer reactions like a hawk to find that sweet spot between bargain bin and daylight robbery. Wealthy clients pay more, thieves try to steal, and upgrades like better cash registers, beds, and even assistants change how your store flows. And that's only one layer. Invest in local vendors, and suddenly you've got a blacksmith for crafting new gear, an alchemist for potions and enchantments, and even a sketchy banker who might multiply your gold or lose it all. But the game doesn't stop there. Later updates added pets that help in dungeons, new lore, and a DLC with an interdimensional dungeon full of brutal enemies and weapons that drain your health just to wield. A full run through Moonlighter clocks in at around 15 to 20 hours, depending on how deep you dive into side content and upgrades. Short enough to never overstay its welcome, but long enough to make every single second worth the grind. You want a Star Wars game that actually makes you feel like a Jedi, not just some guy swinging a glow stick? Then Fallen Order nails that fantasy. It throws you into the boots of Cal Kestis, a runaway Padawan trying to survive in a galaxy that's actively hunting down his kind. 5 years after Order 66, he's hiding and broken, until the Empire comes knocking and suddenly he's back in the fight, chasing the legacy of the Jedi while dodging Inquisitors. The story has the right mix of familiar and new. You'll see big names like Saw Gerrera, but it's Cal's journey, so it's his bond with BD-1 and the clash with the Sisters of the Inquisition that carry the weight. The writing balances hope, trauma, and that classic Star Wars pulp energy. It isn't just fan service, it feels like a genuine chapter of the saga. Now, the gameplay. Combat takes a page straight out of the Souls playbook, but trims the fat, and every swing of your lightsaber matters. Parry at the right second and you'll cut through stormtroopers like butter. Mistime it, and you're eating blaster fire. The Force powers aren't just flashy extras. They're essential tools. Pulling enemies off ledges, slowing elites mid-combo, or solving puzzles that open up entire new areas. Exploration is pure Metroidvania, as each planet is a web of shortcuts, blocked paths, and secrets that only unfold as Cal relearns his Jedi skills. BD-1 upgrades like zipline hacks or overcharge tricks expand traversal, while Cal's new powers like double jump, push, and pull give you reasons to backtrack. There's no fast travel, which some people hate, me included, but it makes every shortcut you find actually feel earned. Skill points feed into 3 trees: survival, lightsaber, and force, letting you tailor Cal's combat style. Cosmetic finds like ponchos or mantis paint jobs are fun, but the real prize is nabbing more stims for survival, and essences that boost health and force bars. There's even downtime if you want it, planting seeds in Grease's terrarium, customizing your saber at benches, or just tweaking BD-1's paint. It's a ride that blends tight combat, rewarding exploration, and a story that actually feels worthy of the Star Wars name. And you can clear it in about 17 to 20 hours without rushing. How many RPGs let you literally bring the world back to life? Terranigma doesn't just hand you a sword and say, "Go save the day." It throws you into the role of Ark, a kid from the underworld who accidentally unleashes chaos and then has to resurrect continents, animals, and even humanity itself. Yeah, no pressure. The setup feels like your standard action RPG, but it quickly turns into something much bigger. One moment you're reviving plants and watching the surface turn green again. The next you're helping invent the telephone, the light bulb, and even the airplane. Terranigma blends dungeon crawling with this light civilization sim, making you feel like every step forward is rebuilding history itself. And it's not all sunshine. By the time you hit the darker beats of the story, the game makes you question if progress always comes at a cost. Gameplay hits that sweet spot of simple but surprisingly deep. Ark's spear-based combat changes depending on how you move. Run and you'll thrust forward, jump and you'll dive down, slide for a quick strike or pull off a spinning slash that chews through mobs. It's fast, responsive, and way more technical than the average Super Nintendo action RPG. Magic works differently too. You don't have MP. Instead, you collect Magirocks and fuse them into one-use spell rings or summons, but the stones come back after you so you can always rebuild your arsenal. Leveling bumps your stats, but the real punch comes from new weapons and armors, and there are also hidden permanent stat potions if you're thorough. And while combat is the heart of it, exploring towns and pushing civilization forward makes you feel like you're shaping the world outside the dungeons, not just clearing them. Terranigma is often called a masterpiece that slipped through the cracks, and it's true. Thanks to licensing issues, it never even hit the US officially. But for those who find it, it delivers a mix of action, story, and atmosphere that still hits today. It's not a huge grind either. Finishing the journey will take around 20 to 25 hours, and every single one feels worth it. Imagine a JRPG where instead of endless brooding heroes and grim monologues, the story suddenly breaks into full-on Broadway numbers. That's Rhapsody: A Musical Adventure, an RPG that swaps swords and darkness for pastries, puppets, and love songs, yet still manages to charm its way into RPG history. You play as Corne, a girl who can talk to puppets and blast enemies with her magic horn. Her goal? Save Prince Ferdinand after he gets turned into stone by the wicked witch Marjorie. On paper, it sounds like classic fairy tale fluff, but the game leans hard into comedy and parody. You've got a rival obsessed with outshining you, over-the-top villains who literally sing about how evil they are, and Kururu, your puppet sidekick, constantly roasting you along the way. It's lighthearted, self-aware, and genuinely funny in ways most RPGs never even attempt. Combat looks like tactical RPGs such as Final Fantasy Tactics, but with one major difference. Battles are quick, simple, and don't drown you in menus. Corne's main gimmick is her horn, which builds up appreciation points so she can unleash special rewards. And these attacks? Forget fireballs. We're talking giant cakes, pudding, and parfaits crashing onto enemies. It's ridiculous, but that's exactly the point. Alongside her, puppets and even recruited monsters handle the fighting. Though there's a catch. If monsters die, they're gone for good, so yeah. Maybe don't get too attached to that slime. Outside of combat, it's straightforward. You travel across a world map, shop for gear, and manage your puppet party. Reviving fallen allies costs money, so there's a tiny bit of resource management, but nothing overwhelming. The game also rewards exploration with side puppets you can recruit and little collectibles that add flavor without padding the runtime. But what really sets Rhapsody apart are the full musical cutscenes. The Switch version kept the vocals, making it one of the rare RPGs that literally has characters singing their hearts out mid-plot. It's cheesy, it's unexpected, and honestly, it's what makes the game memorable. At around 10 to 15 hours, Rhapsody doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not about deep mechanics or grinding for the perfect build. It's a short, quirky ride that delivers laughs, songs, and just enough tactics to keep you hooked.
I always thought it's hard to make new friends.
What if an RPG let you plan every move like a tactician, then punished you with silence when the fight was done? That's Transistor. It throws you into Cloudbank, a neon city being rewritten by machines, where you play as Red, a singer who's lost her voice but gained a talking sword full of someone else's soul. Yeah, not exactly your typical hero's journey. But the real hook here is combat. At first glance, it looks like slick action, but then the turn system kicks in. Time freezes, you queue up attacks, reposition, maybe set up a backstab for extra pain, and then watch it all unfold in one deadly burst. But here's the kicker. Once your plan plays out, you're stuck waiting in cooldown, exposed. Mess up, and enemies turn you into pixel dust, unless you're sneaky with skills like Jaunt, which let you cheat that vulnerability window. The Transistor itself is basically your toolbox of death. Each function can act as a main attack, an upgrade to another skill, or a passive buff. That means every level up feels like unlocking a new toy, and experimenting is half the fun. Some combos shred crowds, others specialize in control. And if you want to push yourself further, you can equip limiters, which are self-imposed handicaps that make fights nastier but reward you with more XP. Add in the recursion mode, which is basically New Game Plus, and the sandbox challenges in the backdoor, and you've got a game that encourages replaying and experimenting way beyond the credits. And it's not just mechanics doing the heavy lifting. The narrative is woven directly into those functions, as each ability has a backstory tied to Cloudbank's citizens, and even re-speccing your loadout feels like uncovering hidden lore. Pair that with Darren Korb's moody soundtrack and Ashley Barrett's haunting vocals, and you've got one of the most stylish packages in the RPG genre. Some call it short, but I call it sharp. The story wraps in around 6 to 8 hours, depending on how much time you spend tinkering in the sandbox. But every minute is packed with strategy, atmosphere, and emotional punch. If you're having fun so far, drop a like and let me know in the comments what you'd love to see in the next video. Yep, this is part of a full series, and I'm leaving the playlist link down in the description and in the card at the end, so don't miss it. Your comments give the algorithm a reason to keep this channel breathing, and yes, I really do check and reply to every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on, don't let your buddy Sage wander the YouTube wilderness alone. Hit that sub button and stick around. We're dropping new videos every single day, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. You probably wouldn't expect a game full of cat puns to also be a legit action RPG, but Cat Quest proves otherwise. It looks cute, sure, but once those big red danger circles start filling the screen, you realize this little adventure has real claws. The setup is classic and simple. You're a Dragonblood, the last of an ancient bloodline, trying to rescue your kidnapped sister from the villain Dracoth. Alongside your ghostly sidekick Speary, you roam Felingard, a bright open world packed with dungeons, towns, and way too many jokes about paws. Combat is where it hooks you because everything's in real time. Swing your sword, roll out of telegraphed attacks, and unleash spells like Flame Purr or Heal Paw. Each spell has its own pattern, like cones, circles, or side blasts. So fights are all about reading the field and picking the right mix of melee and magic. Progression stays lean but satisfying. Magics get leveled at arcane temples, climbing up to rank 10, and gear powers up when you find duplicates in chests or pay to unlock more loot at the blacksmith Kit Kat. Most weapons and armor can hit level 99, so even a goofy fish sword you picked up early can carry you deep into the game. Later on, special keys and golden chests drop some of the strongest gear, rewarding exploration. Outside of combat, the game keeps things tight. No endless skill trees or bloated systems. Management is all about gold, gear, and quests. Each town has a quest board with chains of side missions, often leading to new dungeons or silly stories. Then there are the Royal Arts, which are late-game abilities like water walking or flight, which open up hidden islands and secret temples. Add in Mew game modifiers for replays like 9 lives, naked runs, or stronger enemies, and you've got plenty of reasons to jump back in. It's short, yes, but that's the point. You can see the credits in around 6 to 8 hours, making it a perfect RPG snack between heavier titles. What if saving the world wasn't just about slaying monsters, but actually bending time itself? That's Chrono Trigger, a game that takes the usual RPG formula, tosses in a time machine, and says, good luck fixing history. It starts in 1000 AD at a cheerful fair, but one teleportation trick later, you're staring at a future where the planet gets obliterated by Lavos, a parasite that basically lives rent-free in Earth's core. The only way out? Travel across 7 different eras, like prehistoric hunts, medieval castles, dystopian ruins, and even the end of time itself, and change history. Every action echoes somewhere down the timeline, and the story doesn't just end one way. Depending on how and when you face Lavos, you get one of over a dozen possible endings, making every run feel like you're rewriting destiny itself. The combat keeps that same sense of momentum. It's built on active time battle, but fights happen right on the map. No random screen wipes. Positioning matters because your techs hit in cones, lines, or circles, and the real magic comes from double and triple techs, where party members fuse abilities into ridiculous combos. It's fast, tactical, and surprisingly stylish for a 16-bit game. Progression is simple but rewarding. You earn tech points to unlock new moves, upgrade weapons and armor, and eventually dabble in magic through a quirky side character called Specchio. And side quests in the final act tie directly into your party's backstories, rewarding you with gear like the Rainbow Sword or Luca's chaotic Wonder Shot. And when you do roll credits, that's where Chrono Trigger invented New Game Plus, letting you restart with all your levels and gear to chase those alternate endings. This isn't just an RPG, it's a masterclass in pacing, choice, and replay value. And best of all, you can experience the entire thing in about 20 to 25 hours.
Why don't you use it?
Some RPGs age like fine wine, and Secret of Mana is one of them. But the remake brings the classic back with 3D visuals, voice acting, and quality-of-life tweaks that make its fast-paced action and co-op charm easier than ever to enjoy today. The story hasn't changed much. You're still Randy, yanked into destiny after pulling the Mana Sword from its resting place. You meet Prim fighting for love, and Popoi, a mischievous sprite with memory issues. And together, the trio has to reawaken the Mana Seeds and stop an empire from reviving the Mana Fortress. On paper, nothing new, but the remake adds voiced cutscenes, plus optional in-skits where the party chats about their journey. It gives the cast more charm, even if the delivery can sometimes feel Saturday morning cartoon. Combat is still real-time action with the classic stamina bar. Swing too early and you do chip damage, wait for 100% and you hit full force. Charge your weapon, unleash bigger strikes, or swap between 8 weapon types that evolve as you collect orbs and visit Watts the Blacksmith. Spells come from elemental spirits, which level up with use. And now you can map shortcuts for both magic and items on your controller, so less ring menu diving mid-battle. The remake even lets you attack diagonally, which sounds tiny, but trust me, it fixes a lot of awkward whiffs from the original. Outside of combat, there's not much management, but Square did slip in autosaves, quest reminder system, and a bestiary with 3D models. And yes, the minimap is the Super Nintendo pixel art one, and it's such a perfect nostalgic touch it almost steals the show. The game also supports local co-op for up to 3 players, just like the old days. No online though, which feels like a missed opportunity. So is it worth it? It's not flawless. The voice acting and presentation divide players, and combat can still feel clunky. But it's a short, memorable RPG that can be wrapped up in about 20 to 25 hours, and every minute is packed with that classic mana spirit. What if an RPG could hook you without drowning you in 80 hours of grinding? Eiyuden Chronicle Rising proves that shorter can still mean satisfying. Don't let the cute art fool you. This little spin-off packs more charm and systems than you'd expect. The setup is simple. You're CJ, a treasure hunter chasing relics in the quake-struck town of Nunavut. Alongside Guru, a mercenary beastman, and Isha, the acting mayor with magic at her fingertips. You're roped into helping rebuild the place while diving into the rune barrows. What starts as running errands for shopkeepers slowly builds into a full-blown story with missing leaders, ancient ruins, and just enough mystery to tie directly into Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Gameplay keeps everything fast and snappy. Combat is side-scrolling action where each character is mapped to a single button. Tap to swap instantly between CJ's speedy slashes, Guru's heavy hits, and Isha's ranged spells. Nail the timing and you chain link attacks, unleashing combos that feel surprisingly slick. It's not deep like a fighting game, but juggling the trio on the fly makes every encounter pop. Throw in elemental runes that buff your attacks and open new dungeon paths, and you've got a loop that constantly rewards exploration. Outside combat, the real hook is town building. Every side quest feeds into new Neva's revival. Blacksmiths, rune shops, taverns, even an apothecary. Deliver lumber or ore, and suddenly the shop upgrades, unlocking stronger weapons, better armor, or buff-granting meals. There's also a stamp card system for tracking quests. And yes, you'll fetch way too many mushrooms for picky NPCs, but watching the town evolve gives progression a real sense of weight. Best part? The whole ride takes about 12 to 15 hours, side quests included. Short enough not to overstay its welcome, but dense enough to feel like a complete RPG. You ever wish the classic Kanto adventure got a fresh coat of paint without losing that nostalgic punch? That's exactly what Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee delivers. It takes the bones of Pokemon Yellow and rebuilds them into something that feels both familiar and brand new. The story is the same core journey. 8 gyms, Team Rocket causing trouble, and the road to the Pokemon League. But the way you experience that story is what makes this version stand out. Pokemon aren't hiding in tall grass anymore. They're right there on the map, roaming around, begging you to chase them down. Capturing them ditches the old battle system in favor of the Pokemon Go-style ring throw. Toss the Joy-Con like you're pitching a Pokeball, nail an excellent throw, and watch the XP pile up. It's simple, but addicting. Trainer battles stay turn-based, but with a twist. There are no held items and no abilities. That means battles are stripped down and a little faster, though you still get the heavy hitters. And yes, Mega Evolutions are here. Your starter, whether Pikachu or Eevee, is special. They can't evolve, but they learn unique, over-the-top moves you won't find anywhere else, like Zippy Zap or Bouncy Bubble, and they'll absolutely carry you if you want them to. Progression works differently too. Instead of EV training, you feed your Pokemon candies to boost stats, and catching chains called Catch Combos. Make it easier to farm for better IVs, rare Pokemon, or even shinies that sparkle right there in the overworld. The whole system is tuned for that just one more catch loop. Outside of combat, it's all about management made easy. Your Pokemon box is always in your pocket, so no more running to PCs. Duplicate Pokemon can be sent to Professor Oak for candies, you can dress up your partner, ride on giant mons like Onix, and even pull a friend in with drop-in co-op, doubling your catching power. The old HMs? Replaced by secret techniques that don't waste a move slot. It's not the deepest RPG in the series, and competitive players might miss abilities and items, but as a reimagining of Kanto, it's charming, accessible, and surprisingly addictive. And since you can finish the main story in about 25 to 30 hours, It's a short RPG that respects your time while giving you plenty to chase after if you want to go full completionist. If you're still with me, the link to the playlist is popping up in the card right now. This video is part of a full series, and trust me, they're packed with even more amazing picks you'll definitely want on your radar. And hey, don't forget to support your buddy Sage by subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment on each video. It keeps the algorithm happy, and honestly, it's the digital equivalent of tossing me a high five.